ऐसे ही तो
Very good evening to all of you. Am I clearly audible? Please mention in the chat window if I'm audible to all of you. Okay, Shivam, thank you. Thank you, Preetam. Thank you, Chetna. Let's just wait for one more minute for more people to join in. All right, so in today's session, we are going to take up the quant questions basically. So we are going to talk about how you should be preparing for the quant section, what all things you need to take care of, and we'll be discussing few very basic questions that I have picked up for today's class, in which the level of difficulty of the questions is not very high. But the point is that these questions will give you an idea of what kind of questions are asked in CAT and what is the basic criteria for solving questions in a very quick manner. So one thing which is very important when you're taking CAT is that you have to manage the accuracy and speed hand in hand. All right. So for that, obviously, it is very important to know certain things that we are going to discuss. So yes, a few more people have joined in. So what I was discussing was it's very important for you to know that when you're taking CAT, two very basic things which will actually decide your fate, your success in the exam is, are you able to manage your speed and accuracy together? So for that, as I said, we have certain tips to work on. The first is when you are starting with a particular topic, go into the very basic details of that topic in terms of having the fundamental concept clarity is very, very important. Because these days, CAT has started asking questions which are of the very fundamental level, which are basically checking how much you are aware of the concept. Okay, not just calculations, not just solving a question, but actually the in-depth knowledge of that concept is very much important, and that is what is tested, right? So first step is, whenever you're reading a topic, whenever you're starting with a topic, go to the roots of that topic, understand it from the very fundamental level, understand the theory behind that concept, and then go for the shortcuts. Shortcuts are also very important. So as I said, accuracy, speed, both have to be managed together. So when you talk about accuracy, when you talk about managing any twisted question, you have to have the fundamental concept clarity. When you talk about speed, you should know the basic tricks that work as shortcuts. So having both knowledge together is very, very important. So where most of people go wrong is they think that knowing shortcuts is good enough for CAT. It's not. Okay. You must have everything in hand in terms of having that concept clarity from the very basic level. So this is the first thing that I've shared with you. Second is, there are certain questions which have a very typical way of solving, like options is a way of solving the questions. Okay, so Psyche, please put yourself on mute. Right. So now, second point, which is very important for you, is that you should know when you are taking a question in CAT, options play a very, very important role. Sometimes what we do is that we are trying to attempt a question by making huge equations and we are lost in solving that question. We don't even realize how much time we have already wasted. wherein that question could have been easily solved very quickly using options. So option is the second tip that I'm giving you. Okay. Whenever you're reading a question, do have a look at the options also, because options will actually tell you how to solve the question. It's actually reverse way. All right. You are not solving the question first and then looking for options. Mind it, it always goes reverse. First, you look at the options and then you decide how to solve this particular question. All right. Why? Reason is, sometimes the options are like that you know, instead of solving it through an equation, if I use the option and try to fit in the situation which the question has created, it will be very quick to solve. And we'll take up certain questions like this. Whatever I'm talking right now, we will realize it in the form of questions. So don't worry, you will have a say first-hand experience of what I'm basically discussing with you. Right? Sometimes in DI is going to be very important with options. Options actually happen to tell you that what kind of calculation is needed. Now, the thought that will come to your mind is, when we have an on-screen calculator allowed, then why should I bother about calculations at all? It is very important. Please remember, we do have a calculator allowed, but using it wisely is very, very important. Because you're taking, you're getting deviated from the question when you're using the calculator. So even that fraction of second is going to be very, very important. So using calculator wisely is very important. So options will tell you whether I need to use a calculator or not. Something like, if I have an option like 1.27, 1.28, 1.29, obviously I'll say, let's use calculator. It's better not to take risk. But if my options are like 1.2 and then 13 and then 150, why would I need a calculator? I can just quickly go with my rough calculations. All right. So all these things will be very important for you to take care of. So 3 tips that I've shared with you, which I'm going to now make you experience through questions. First tip, I said, whenever you're reading a topic, go to the very basic fundamental concept clarity of that topic and then understand the shortcuts also to solve that question. Both knowledge should always go together. Second tip I said is, always make wise use of options, and options is going to play a very, very important role in terms of solving a question. Third is visualize. Sometimes the question, when visualized in your real life sense, becomes very easy for you. Okay, try to relate, because that tip goes always for math. Why people have a phobia against math is because they don't try to relate it with their real life. The more you try to visualize, the more you try to relate it as if it's an incident happening with you, whatever the question is saying, it will really make your life comfortable in understanding that question and solving that question. Okay, so I think enough of GAN now. Let's start solving questions and see how to actually put into reality what I just discussed with you guys. All right. So my request to you guys is, please participate in solving the questions. It's very important for me to know and see how your answers are coming up so that I can guide you accordingly. All right. So do not worry about your answer going wrong or correct. Doesn't matter. Nobody is judging your answers. Just participate, answer it. Whatever answer you get, do definitely mention it in the chat. All right. Let's take up the first question. So the first question I have picked up from Money Math. Money Math means the commercial math, anything to do with buying something, selling something, where money is involved. These kind of questions are very, very important for CAT. Read it and try to solve it. So for this question, the tip which I gave, try to visualize the question. Try to visualize yourself going for shopping and buying and then realizing, okay, the price has gone up today. So what to do? Okay, try to visualize yourself in this situation. It will really make a lot of sense. Yes, Bhavna, Chetna, Madhvi, Parag, Preetham, Saket, Sangeeta, Shubham, Aryaman, Amit, Kumar. Any answers? Thank you so very much, Aryaman Tiwari. Yep. Any answers from you guys? Okay, so should I solve it for you? Okay, so let's look at the solution of this question. As I said, try to visualize this question in terms of it's like a situation happening with you. Okay, doesn't matter, Chetna. I'll help you solve it. Question says an increase of 30% in the price of apples enables a man to buy 6 kilograms less for rupees 300. If you try to visualize yourself in this situation, what is it trying to tell you is that initially you used to go for shopping with rupees 300 and you were supposed to buy some apples that you always used to buy. Now, today, when you went, you realized that there was an increase in the price. Okay. How much was the price increase? There was an increase in the price by 30%. But you were not carrying that much of money. Okay. So, this extra money, which was supposed to be carried by you, you were not carrying that extra money. So sometimes it happens, when you are carrying less money. So what does the shopkeeper tell you? Okay, with this much of money, then leave this much of the product aside. Okay, that's what this shopkeeper recommends. If you're not carrying this extra money, I will be not able to give you 6 kilograms today. All right, so that means he said that because you're not carrying this extra money, so you will get 6 kilograms of apples less today. 6 kilograms of apples less means what? 6 kilograms of apples less means what? The cost of 6 kilograms of apples, okay, has to match with the extra money that you were supposed to carry because you were not carrying that extra money. So the shopkeeper told you that you cannot take these 6 kilogram apples today, right? Is that clear? So these two things have to be certainly equal. Is this point clear, everyone? So because you were not carrying that extra money, how much extra money? 30% more today. You were not carrying that money. So the shopkeeper told you that you will not be able to buy 6 kilogram apples today. You will be taking home 6 kilogram apples less today, which means these two things have to be equal in terms of their value. Now, what is 30% of 300? You were supposed to have 30% more today, right? So what is 30% of 300? 90 rupees. So this first thing is 90 rupees. Second thing is the cost of 6 kilograms of apples. Cost of 6 kilograms is like 6 multiplied by cost of 1 kilogram. And isn't this what the question is asking? Cost of 1 kilogram of apple. So this is your answer. What is cost of 1 kilogram of apple? 90 divided by 6. What is that answer? 15 rupees. So the answer comes out to be 15 rupees. Is it clear, everyone? So you just visualized the way the question would have worked for you in real life. That is, you went for shopping. Every time you used to carry 300 rupees, but today you realize that there was an increase in the price. How much? 30%. So you were supposed to carry 30% more today. What is 30% of 300? 90. You were supposed to carry 90 rupees more today. But because you were not carrying that money, so the shopkeeper told you that you will be getting 6 kilograms of apples less. So the cost of 6 kilograms of apples is equal to 90 rupees. This is the meaning of the question, and this is the point where you get to have the answer. So if the cost of 6 kilograms is 90, the cost of 1 kilogram is 90 divided by 6, which gives you the answer 15 rupees. Any doubts? Chetna, is it now clear? All right, great. Vipin, you were trying to say something. Is it clear? Everyone? Bhavna, Chetna, Madhvi, Parag, Preetam, Saket, Sangita, Vipin, clear to everyone? Aryaman, Amit Kumar. All right, great. So let's move ahead. So now you realize why I was saying that try to visualize yourself in that situation. It makes more sense to understand the question very easily. Okay, right, great. Let's move ahead with the next question. So try to visualize with a picture. It's always important to visualize the questions with a picture. Okay, try this now. Very important, very simple question. I'm sure you will be able to solve it. This is a simpler one to handle. I'm sure you can. Okay, let me give you a hint for solving this question. This one is trying to bring that tip which I gave you, that go to the fundamental level concept clarity. Okay. And this one is based on what we normally call as a fraction wall. This fraction wall is done way back in school in very junior classes, in which you are told what is the basic meaning of fraction. So the basic meaning of fraction is very much clear through this picture. Okay. Visualization is always very important. So fraction says that something in totality is called as 1. So one complete total thing is called as 1. Now, if this 1 is broken into 2 parts, it's going to be 1 by 2 and 1 by 2 each. If this complete 1 is broken into 3 parts, it's going to be 1 by 3, 1 by 3, 1 by 3 each. If this complete 1 is broken into 4 parts, it's going to be 1 by 4 each. So it's like how many partitions you are doing with this complete unit. And the complete unit in fractions is always called as 1. Now, something again very important in fraction wall, which is again taught in junior classes, is that suppose you had one full whatever thing you're talking about, and you broke it into 3 parts. So you had 1 by 3, 1 by 3, 1 by 3 as 3 parts, equal parts of this total thing. Suppose you are talking about one full chocolate, okay, and you made 3 partitions of that chocolate. If I tell you that I have already consumed one part of it, one part of this chocolate has already been eaten by me, so 1/3 has been eaten by me, how much do I still have in hand with me? Obviously, you will say 2 by 3. Okay, so when you consume something, if you consume, say, 1 by 6, if you consume 1 by 6, all right, and leftover, if I talk about how much will be leftover. So if I have consumed 1 by 6, the leftover will be 5 by 6. And I'm sure you will realize that the sum of what you are consuming and what is left over is always equal to 1. All right. And this was told to you in junior classes, that leftover is always equal to 1 minus what you consume. Right. Apply that logic here in this question. It's very important. Is the logic clear? And I'm sure you have done this in way junior classes, that when you talk about fractions, total is always considered as 1. What you have consumed is subtracted from 1 to tell you what is left over. And it's very easy to see that the denominator always remains same, and the sum of the numerators has to be such that it matches with the denominator. For example, if what you have consumed is, say, 5 by 7, then what is left with you is going to be what? The denominator will remain same, and the numerator has to be such that the sum of the numerators matches with the denominator. So it's going to be 2 by 7 here. All right, everyone clear with this shortcut? Apply this shortcut, which is a very simple shortcut, on the question that I gave you. Yes or no? Is the shortcut clear? Let's take one more example. If what you have consumed is 3/8, then what you are left with is, tell me everyone, what you have consumed is 3/8, then what you are left with is how much? Answer it, guys. The sum total of the numerators has to match with the denominator, right, Chetna? The sum of the numerators has to match with the denominator. Denominator will remain same. What comes here has to be such that the sum of the two numerators is same as the denominator. So it's going to be 5/8, right, Chetna? I think it was a typing error on your part. 5/8. Okay. Now let's go back to the question and apply this concept. This person is spending 6/7 of his income on food. This much is spent. Spent means consumed. Okay. 6/7 of the income has already been consumed by him. How much is left after this first stage? First stage says he has consumed 6/7. So what is left with him is 1/7, right? Of what? Of the income. Okay. Now, what happens? This is what is left with him. Out of this leftover, why? Because the language of the question says of the remaining. So this is what is remaining with me. He has again consumed 4/5 of this. Okay, 4/5 has been consumed. My focus in the question is what is left with me. 4/5 of this quantity is consumed by me. What is left is 1/5 of this. Next, 2/3 of this has been spent by me. If 2/3 of this has been spent by me, I'm not bothered about it. What I'm bothered about is how much is left with me. What is left with me is 1/3 of this. All right. And this entire leftover amount is given to you as 105 rupees. And this becomes the simple equation that I need to solve in the question. Is it clear? So this is the logic of the question. Now you know the shortcut also. Shortcut is I don't have to bother about the fractions given to me. All I have to write is its complement. What do I mean by complement? What is given is what I have consumed. What I have to note down is what is left with me. 6/7 was the first fraction, but I noted down its complement 1/7. 4/5 was the second fraction, but I note down its complement 1/5. Third fraction was 2/3. Its complement is 1/3. Of what? Of the income. This becomes my entire leftover amount because every time I have noted the complement. Complement means what is left with you. So it has to be equal to 105 rupees. That's it. Okay. So I've explained it again. I hope it's clear now. So now the question is asking to find income. Let's just quickly do the calculation. But before that, give me a go ahead. Is the logic clear, everyone? Then we'll take up the calculation. Okay, great. So now the calculation part. How do you handle the calculation from this stage? So I'm clearing it up. So we noted down the complements. So 1/7, 1/5, and 1/3. All right. Of the income, I'm writing it as I is equal to 105. Now to handle the calculations, I know the product of these three numbers is going to go on that side. But what you realize is that this number is again 105. Okay. So 7 into 5 into 3 is again 105. Right? Clear? Now, what is this number? 105 square. There is a shortcut which we cover under Vedic math. As I said, you don't have to always rely on calculators. Some calculations are very, very easy to handle. And this is one such calculation. Any number that ends in 5 can be squared very easily. So very good, Preetham. I think you already know the shortcut. A number ending in 5 can be very easily squared by the shortcut that this 5 will be written as 25 and the leftover number, which is 10, will be multiplied by the next number that comes in counting after that. So 10 is the leftover number. What comes after 10 in counting is 11. They get multiplied to give me 110, which will be written on the left. This becomes the answer. So the answer is 11025 rupees. Is it clear, everyone? So the shortcut of squaring a number ending in 5, I'm repeating, 5 will be written as 25. What is left over will be multiplied by its successor. So 10 got multiplied with 11 to give me 110, which will be written on the left of 25, and together it becomes the answer. So the answer is rupees 11025. Any doubts? Any doubts with this question? Okay, great. Let's move ahead then. So remember this fraction wall, okay? Every question I've tried to make you visualize with a picture so that you remember it, because visualizing always has a better impact on your mind. So you will remember this fraction wall now. Let's solve this question. This is again a question which is based on shopping something and all. Whenever you see a question based on shopping and all, always try to visualize yourself in that situation, okay? So in this question, it's better that you visualize yourself as the shopkeeper. You will understand the language of the question very easily if you relate yourself as the shopkeeper. Everyone give it a try. Okay, Kunal has given the answer as 17. Anyone else has an answer? Okay, let me give you a way to how to solve the question. A shopkeeper claims that he sells his goods at a loss of 8%. So imagine yourself as a shopkeeper who is pretending that he's selling at a loss of 8%. Why am I using the word pretending? Because he's doing what? He's actually using a weight of 800 grams for 1 kilogram. So he's trying to befool the customers with this wrong weight. Okay. So you have to understand the question has given you an option. He might end up into having a profit. He might end up into having a loss. You have to find the percentage accordingly. Now, as I said, imagine yourself as a shopkeeper. Suppose you are the shopkeeper, right? From your shop, 800 grams of whatever commodity you're talking about, be it rice or whatever, is going from your shop. Now, instead of every time bringing in variables, please remember, whenever you will see that the question is asking for percentage answer, it's not asking for a numerical answer in terms of a value, it is asking for percentage. Whenever the question asks for finding a particular percentage, always avoid using variables like X. Use 1 instead. Okay. What I'll say is, suppose I'm talking about rice here. Okay, so Saket has given the answer as 12%. No, that's not the correct answer, Saket. So let's see where you went wrong. So suppose you avoid variable and you say that cost of 1 kilogram of rice. So suppose we are talking about rice here. Cost of 1 kilogram of rice is suppose 1 rupee. I have made my life simple by not calling it as an X, as I said. Why? Because whenever the question talks about percentages, you can always avoid using variables. It's always going to be easier for you. So let's suppose cost of 1 kilogram of rice is 1 rupee, which means that the cost of 1000 grams is 1 rupee, because 1 kilogram is same as 1 rupee, right? Now, what you realize is the moment I will be talking about the cost of 800 grams, I will be leading into a problem of dealing with decimals. We always want to avoid decimals. Okay. So what you realize immediately is, okay, this is not going to work so well for me. It's not that every time one has to be taken. It could be one, it could be 10, it could be 100, it could be 1,000, whatever makes your life comfortable. So let's call this as 1,000 rupees. And you know why have I changed this value? Because it will be easier for me. And you will realize why. Cost of 1 kilogram means cost of 1,000 grams. So if cost of 1,000 grams is 1,000 rupees, basically what I'm trying to visualize in this question is it's better to take cost of 1 gram because I have to ultimately come in grams only. Okay. So taking a number which will make your life comfortable is also an important choice. So I start with saying that forget about kilogram. Let's take cost of 1 gram of rice is 1 rupee. Now, from your shop, 800 grams is actually going away with the customer because you are a pretentious shopkeeper. You are telling the customer as if he's buying 1 kilogram, but in reality, you are just giving away 800 grams. So your investment as a shopkeeper is 800 grams, which is going away from your shop. So your cost price is going to be 800 rupees because cost of 1 gram is 1 rupee. So cost of 800 grams is 800 rupees. Now let's come down to selling price. The poor customer is thinking that he is buying 1 kilogram. So obviously, how much is he supposed to pay? He's supposed to pay the cost of 1,000 grams, which is 1,000 rupees. But then you are playing very smart to make the customer feel happy. You pretend that, okay, do not give me 1,000 rupees. I'm ready to bear a loss of 8%. So you can give me 8% less. So you are making the customer feel happy by charging him only 92% of this. What is that? 920 rupees. Now the poor customer is thinking as if he has paid less, but in reality, he has paid more. So the shopkeeper is definitely going to make profit. How much profit? Profit is always the difference of selling price and cost price, which is 120 rupees. But the question had asked for profit percentage. Whenever you calculate profit percentage, it is always calculated on the cost price. This is what the question is asking for. All right. And which is a simple calculation, comes out to be 15%. Correct, Parag, your answer is right. The answer comes out to be 15%. Is this clear? So a long explanation, but the story cut short is avoid using variables. Choose a number which makes your life comfortable. Okay. So you go with the choice of making the cost of 1 gram as 1 rupee. Now, what is going from your shop is 800 grams. So your investment, your cost price is 800 rupees. You are liable to charge the customer for 1 kilogram. That means you are supposed to charge him 1,000 rupees. But you pretend very sweet. You pretend as if you are bearing a loss of 8%. So you're only charging 92% of what you were supposed to charge from the customer, making him feel happy to pay only 920 rupees. But in reality, you have played very smart being a shopkeeper here. You have made a profit of 120 rupees on 800 rupees. So what is your profit percentage? 15%. Everyone clear with the answer? Is this clear, everyone? Okay, great. Let's move ahead then. So this is the visualization for the question to remember using wrong weight. So whenever you have a question of using wrong weight, please remember the wrong weight that you have used will work as the cost price. Okay. And what you are pretending to the customer will always work as the selling price. And if you offer any discount to the customer, then obviously the selling price will go down. Otherwise, it will remain whatever you have pretended. Okay. So this is the shortcut logic that you take away from this question. Let's move ahead with the next one. Read this question and then I'll tell you which tip that I started talking about in the beginning of the session works for this question. And I'm sure you also can realize. So I discussed some tips. I said sometimes it is the logic, which is the fundamental concept of the question that works. Sometimes it is visualization, visualizing yourself in that situation. Sometimes it is options that works. Okay. So out of these 3 tips, something will work here. Are you able to relate to the question, how to visualize it? You have to just visualize the question, okay? And something which is very important that will work here in this question, which I gave as a tip in the beginning, is using options. First, visualize it. So I'm just taking you away from this question's values and I'm asking a simpler question. Suppose you're putting 3 flower pots. Okay, so I'm asking a different question now. The moment you will answer this different question of mine, you will understand why did I ask this question, and you will have an understanding of how to solve the question which I have presented on the screen. So I'm asking an extra question. The extra question is, suppose you put 5 flower pots, okay, and you are putting these flower pots at a gap of 1 meter each. They all are placed at a gap of 1 meter each. Okay. Can you tell me, when you are placing these flower pots, by beginning with a flower pot and ending with a flower pot, and you are putting 5 such flower pots like that? Okay. So the arrangement is, you have used 5 such flower pots, beginning with a flower pot, ending with a flower pot. I'm stressing this point again. Beginning with a flower pot, ending with a flower pot. Can you tell me how much distance have you covered with these flower pot arrangement? So Preetham, you have given an answer in which you are making a mistake, which I'm trying to make you realize here. Okay, focus on this question, Preetham. You will automatically realize your mistake. How much distance have you covered here? Madhvi, just actually count it. 4 meters. Okay, Madhvi, you mentioned 5 meters. That's a very, very common mistake. And exactly the same mistake, Preetham, you have done. It's not 5 meters that you have covered. This much is 1 meter. This much is another 1 meter. This much is another 1 meter. This much is another 1 meter. It's a very, very common, silly mistake that we do. We think that whatever is the number of flower pots put is equal to the distance that you are covering. Why? Because I'm multiplying it with 1. No, the answer is wrong. Try to visualize with 2 flower pots. And now you know why I was stressing so much on saying that I'm beginning with a flower pot and I'm ending with a flower pot. If you are putting only 2 flower pots at a gap of 1 meter, what is the distance covered by you? It's not 2 meters. It's only 1 meter. Do you realize what I'm talking about now? So the distance covered is not going to be multiplied by the number of flower pots you have placed. It's actually going to be multiplied with one number less than that. So, for example, if I shall now change the question by saying that you are placing 5 flower pots and each one of them is placed at a gap of 2 meters. Okay, now I'm making this number 2 meters. Can you tell me what is the distance that you have covered with this arrangement? It's not going to be 5 into 2. Right? It's not going to be 5 into 2. It's going to be 4 into 2 meters. And you know why. You can visualize it. I'm using 5 flower pots. And I have started with a flower pot and I have ended with a flower pot. I'm covering this distance from A to B. Okay. What is the distance covered by you? 2 meters, another 2 meters, another 2 meters, and another 2 meters. So 2 meters has been covered only 4 times, not 5 times. Okay, so the total distance covered is 8 meters. Use this knowledge for this question now. So the distance between each flower pot is to be multiplied by not the number of flowers pots. It has to be multiplied with one number less than that. Okay, one number less than that. That tells you the distance covered. And then use options to see which option fits in. Now, do not make equations and make your life difficult here. Quickly use options and see which option is fitting in the arrangement that the question is talking about. Yes, I'm expecting an answer from you guys now. Very good, Bhavna. That's correct. So forget about the first situation of the question. It's going to be redundant for me, right? I can just ignore it. The question said that initially I was falling short of flower pots, but I did not go to market to buy flower pots. Okay. Okay. So it's written as Bhavana there. Okay. Maybe you have logged in with some other name. Okay. Right, Bhanu. No problem. So yeah, what I was saying is the first situation is anyways redundant for me. It doesn't matter to me much. What is mentioned in the later paragraph is more important, because when you were realizing that the number of flower pots were falling short, so you decided to make an arrangement with a gap of 8 meters each. Okay, but the question is telling you that I don't know how many flower pots have been used and I don't even know how much distance have been covered. Both are visible in the options, but I know a connection between them. 8 multiplied with number of flower pots minus 1 has to match with the distance that you have covered. Is this what we realized with those examples that I was taking? Yes or no? Is this point clear? Why am I trying to use this in options? What I have to try in options is 8 multiplied with number of flower pots minus 1 has to match with the distance that you're trying to cover. Let's quickly check the options now. If I try option number 1, I need to ensure that 8 multiplied by 14 is equal to 100. No, it is not. So this option is definitely wrong. If second option is correct, then 8 multiplied by 15, why? Because one number less than 16 is 15, has to match with 100. No, it is not. Second option is also wrong, right? If I try third option, I have to ensure that 8 multiplied with 14 has to be 120. No, it is not. So third option is also wrong. Okay. Now I come down to option number 4. Option number 4 says that 8 multiplied with 15 has to match with 120. Yes, it does. So this is the only option which is making the second situation mentioned in the question turning out to be possible. Is it clear, everyone? So it was a very simple real life logic. Do you realize? Visualization plays a very, very important role. It's a very simple thing that you deal with in your real life. And if you are making two kids stand, okay, at a gap of 2 meters, and I tell you that, I ask you that how much distance, how much space do you need? Please do not say I need 4 meters space. I only need 2 meters space. Okay. So that's a very, very common mistake people do. Now with 3 kids, I will be needing how much of the distance? I will be needing only 4 meters. It's not getting multiplied with 3. It's getting multiplied with 2. With 4 kids, it will now become 2 multiplied with 3. Okay. So this is very important. Any doubts? Now, one quick query which I was expecting from you guys to ask was, is the first situation also fitting in? Let's see. First situation was saying that when he was trying to place them at a gap of 6 meters, it didn't work. Why it didn't work? Because he was falling short of flower pots. How many was he falling short of? 5. So let's try. If I increase the quantity by 5, the quantity becomes 21. Okay. Now it should work to be placed at 6 meters gap each. But please remember the quantity is 21. But what I have to check is 20 multiplied with 6 matching with 120? Yes, it is. So it is definitely working for first situation also. I did not bother about it because there was no such option as none of these, so that I have to bother about is the first situation also fitting in. But yes, you have to be careful about the fact that you have to make sure that the first situation also fits in, because there might be an option of the type none of these, wherein the second situation fits in, but the first one doesn't. Okay. So be careful about that. I could leave it here because there was no such option like that. Is that clear, everyone? Okay, let's move ahead. So visualization, very, very important. I think I have made this point clear a lot of times. And looking at the options, very, very important. Okay, please remember these 2 tips are going to work really well for you. Okay, I'm not unnecessarily stressing so much upon this. This will actually help you a lot. Visualize the situation is very important. Using options wisely is also very, very important. Okay, so let's just move ahead. Try this question now. Now for this question also, I have a tip for you to understand, which I kept pending for this question to come up, and then I would have shared it with you, is that this question tells you an approach that can work for a lot of times in a question similar to this. That approach is called backward approach. Why backward approach? Because this question is telling you that I moved ahead with some steps, okay? And what happened in the end is known to me. That is, he's left with 5 apples in the end. What the question is asking for you is, how much did you begin with? So obviously, the end situation is known to me, and what I began with is unknown to me. I have to move backward. This approach is called backward approach. So for solving such questions where the end situation is known and the beginning situation is not known, and that exactly what the question is asking you to solve, always apply backward approach. What do we mean by backward approach? Backward approach says that do not start by saying that this variable is X and I'm moving ahead. It will make the question very difficult and very lengthy. Rather than that, start from this known number and keep going back so that you reach this unknown number. Let me just make you visualize this, what I'm trying to say. Backward approach, okay? I'm not moving with a variable X and moving forward. I'm not doing that. What I'm doing is, I know that the last number is 5. I will be moving back as many steps I came ahead to find out how much did I start with. All right. Now let's read the question and see how to solve it. When you read this question, it says that Arun has some apples and he gives away half of the apples and then half an apple. What does this language mean? Suppose I give you a random number like 10. Suppose Arun had 10 apples in the beginning. Can you tell me how much does he give to the person A? By this language, what do you realize from this language? He gives away half of the apples that he was carrying and then another half of an apple. How much did A get? No, Chetna, it says half of the apples. So he was carrying 10 apples. He gave away half of the apples. That means he gave away 5. Right, Chetna? And then he thought of giving another half, like it's 1/2 piece of an apple that he gives again. So 5.5 is what he's giving away. Preetham, Parag, okay, Parag gave the correct answer. Preetham and Chetna, is it clear now? So he gave half of the quantity and then another half piece of an apple. So he gave 5.5 to A. After giving this much to A, what is left with him? Quickly tell me. How much is left with him? Yes, everyone, answer it. He was carrying 10. He gave away 5.5. What is left with him is 4.5. That's correct. Now, if I tell you that my question only talks about this much only, though there are 5 people to whom he is giving away apples, I'm making the question simpler for you. Suppose he stops after this. Okay. Now, can you tell me, if I know that I'm left with 4.5 apples, but I don't know this number and I have to come back here, how will you visualize it? Visualize it as if you are now snatching the apples that you gave to A back. So first of all, you will tell him, give me my half apple back. So that half will get added to your leftover, making it 5. Now you will say, I will double it up, make it 10. So how are you coming back? Are you realizing what I'm trying to tell you from this question? How to move back is first add half. Whatever you get, then you double it up. Why? Reason is, when you were moving forward, what were you doing? If you had X apples in the beginning, you gave to this first person half of the apples that you were carrying, and another half of an apple was given away by you. So don't focus on what is A carrying with him. Focus on what is left with you, because left is given to me. After giving away these many apples to A, what is left with me? I was left with half of my apples, but then I got short of another half because I gave this also to A. I want to come back from here to here. Obviously, what I have to do to come back from here to here is add 0.5 so that this will cancel out. Then multiply by 2 so that this will also cancel out. So this approach is telling me that a simple calculation is needed. What is that simple calculation? Add half and then multiply with 2. Do this as many times as you went forward. How many times did you go forward? A, B, C, D, and E. You did this process with 5 people, so you have to come back also 5 steps. Is this logic clear, everyone? That how I have to come back from 5 apples? So you have to come back 5 steps with a simple calculation. Add half, multiply by 2, then again add half, multiply by 2. Do this process 5 times. Yes or no? Is the logic clear? If it's clear, then quickly calculate it. So start coming back from 5 apples. Move 5 steps back by doing what? Add half and then multiply by 2. Quickly do this calculation and tell me the answer. Do this process how many times? 5 times. Okay, let me help you with the calculation. Let's come one step back. Add half to it. So 5.5. What is double of 5.5? It's going to be 11. Now let's go one more step back. Add half to it. So what is it? 11 and a half. What is double of 11 and a half? It's going to be 23. Okay. One more step back. Add half to it. So it's going to be 23 and a half. What is double of 23 and a half? It is going to be 47. One more step back. Add half to it. It's going to be 47 and a half. What is double of 47 and a half? It's going to be 95. One more step back. Add half to it. It's going to be 95 and a half. What is double of 95 and a half? It is going to be 191. Have I come back 5 steps back? Yes, I have. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So I stop here. So what was the total number of apples that he was carrying in the beginning? The answer is 191. Is it clear? Is it clear, everyone? Okay, great. Last line, one more time. The last calculation, this calculation you are asking me to repeat, or how did I decide to come back? What exactly is your doubt, Manu? The calculation. Okay, I'll tell you the calculation. I have to go back from 5 and I have to go back 5 steps. Okay. And how am I moving? I will first be adding a half, and whatever I get, I have to multiply by 2. So I added half to it, 5 and a half, and then double of 5 and a half. Double of 5 and a half will be 11. So the first answer came out to be 11. Then add half to it, make it 11 and a half. What is double of 11 and a half? It's going to be 23. So the next answer was 23. Then 23 and a half. What is double of 23 and a half? It is 47. Why? Because double of 23 is 46. Double of half is 1. So it becomes 47. Now, from 47, make it 47 and a half and then double it up. So it becomes 95. Why? Because double of 47 is going to be 94 and double of half is going to be 1, making it 95. One more step back, add half to it, make it 95 and a half. What is double of 95 and a half? Double of 95 is going to be 190 and double of half is going to be 1. So it makes it 191. This is, I have come back 5 steps. This is the final answer. Is that clear? So this doubling up, again, a simple calculation tip that can work for you. Suppose you are doubling 47 and a half. Do not trouble yourself by making it like a decimal or a mixed fraction or whatever. Just handle it in a real life sense. I am doubling 47 and a half. What is double of 47? Double of 47 is 94. What is double of half? Double of half is 1. So together they make it 95. Okay. Similarly, when I was doubling 95 and a half, I double 95. What is double of 90? It is 180. Double of 5 is 10. So double of 95 was 190. Double of half was 1. So it made 191. Okay. So these kind of calculation tips also we share with you guys when you start with the sessions of Vedic math. That is when you're multiplying a number by 2. Do not do it by the traditional method like you're multiplying 95 by 2 like this. No, we highly recommend that you start using mental math. What does mental math say? Mental math say that if you are dealing with a calculation like suppose you are doubling 95, okay? So just tell yourself that I'm doubling 95. So what I have to do is double of 90 and double of 5. What is double of 90 and what is double of 5? Of course, you are not writing it down. This you are trying to do in your mental oral math. What is double of 90? It is 180. What is double of 5? It's 10. So together it becomes 190. Okay. And then I have another half also to be doubled up, which will contribute 1 more. So making it 191. Right. Now the calculation is clear. So these kind of calculation tips we cover under our first lecture of quant that we do under Vedic math. It's going to be very, very important session for you. Okay. Okay, let's move ahead now. Now, remember, as I have been doing for every question, visualization. So visualization for such questions is backward approach. So I just give you a quick recap of the kind of visualizations I have told you to keep in mind. First, I said, whenever you think that it is based on a very fundamental concept, like I did something like a fraction wall for you. It was a very fundamental concept that you have done way back in school. That was the first tip I shared with you, what we did in the fraction wall. Okay. Second, I said sometimes options play a very, very important role. Okay. Whenever you're dealing with questions of financial math, money math, try to visualize yourself. Visualization is very, very important. And the fourth tip that I've worked for this question is the backward approach. So there are many more to come, but yes, this session being very short, we have just discussed only 4 very important approaches that you should keep in mind. Now, a quick answer to your queries, like what you're going to have in the if you enroll with us, what you're going to have in the classes, what you're going to have in the material. So all that is now displayed on the screen for your convenience. So it's going to be 85 plus live classes, in which the classes are like going to be 3 live classes in a week. Obviously, 1 for quant, 1 for verbal, 1 for DI. Okay, so the live sessions are exactly like you had the today's session. Interactive, wherein you are first taught the theory. So this was a demo session in which you have just done the questions directly, but otherwise we take up one particular topic. We first deal with the theoretical part, the fundamental concept of that particular topic, and then we tell you the shortcuts, and then we eventually start solving questions wherein the answers are expected from you, and then we help you out with a better approach of solving the question. Okay, all the doubts are clarified in the class itself because it's an interactive session. Then you will have 135 plus national mock CAT and non-CAT, so that you can actually understand where you stand on a national level. It's very important because you should not be under any kind of myth about your own level of understanding position before taking CAT, because you should know where you stand. Then accordingly, you are guided, you prepare accordingly, you know what is within your limit and how can you actually expand your limits. Okay, so these are very important. And the kind of tests that we provide you, the kind of mocks that we provide you are going to be extremely close to the actual CAT level, sometimes even of the higher level, so that you are not under any misconceptions about yourself. You know where you need to improve and you're guided accordingly, your areas of improvement, your strength areas which you can further improvise so that you increase your percentile, what is your weakness, all that is actually made very clear to you. Then you have hundreds of chapter wise and area tests, which is going to make you very firm on a particular topic. That's also very important. Mocks basically makes you understand what should be your strategy. Strategy is very important. Chapter wise test makes you understand the in-depth knowledge of that chapter, of that particular topic. Then you will have 250 plus shortcut videos in which all the kinds of shortcuts, all the tricks are shared with you, which make you very quick with solving questions. And then, of course, more than 10,000 questions based on the actual CAT questions that you are going to expect for yourself in the exam. So again, this is going to be more than enough for you to practice. Okay, this much of resource is going to make you really very capable of getting into the dream B school that you are thinking of. Now, this is the information about the pricing, as some of you were asking about it. So the actual price of the course is given to you. Now, Saket, I'll come to your doubts. Just a minute. Yeah, so the actual price is 44,999, and because you have attended this session, so you can use the coupon code CAT-OCR and you can avail it at the discounted price of 26,999. And if you still have any further doubts, queries, anything that you want to find out, you can definitely call up at the number which is displayed on the screen right now. Okay, Saket, I'll just take up your query. Right, so this is the number that you can definitely call up at, and you can also visit our website. This is the link which is shared on the screen right now. So, Saket, what you're asking, if you miss any class, not to worry, because not a particular class, for every class you have a recording, okay? And not just in case you miss the class, just you want to revise the class, that's also very important. So we definitely recommend our students that if you are attending a class, you should always try to re-go through that class in terms of having a better understanding, revising the class, revising the session. So the recordings will always be there with you throughout your preparation journey, Saket. So you don't have to bother about if you miss out any class. Okay, even if you want to revise it, all the classes are going to be there in the recorded form in your login ID. All right. And that's the actual advantage of having the recorded sessions, because you can go through it as many times as you want. Right. No problem, Saket. Most welcome. Anyone else wants to ask anything? Any clarity that you need from my side? Otherwise, you can definitely visit the website as I have displayed the link on the screen, and you can definitely call up on the number which I displayed, which will help you out with if you come up with any query later on after the session. Yeah, I'm still here to solve your doubts. If you have, please go ahead. All right, then. So this brings me to the end of the session. And do remember those shortcut tips which I discussed with you, because they're going to really work well for you throughout your preparation journey. So just a quick recap again. Try to always visualize yourself in the situation of the questions, whatever the question is talking about. So visualization, very important. Second is using options wisely, very important. Using calculator also in a very minimal way and focusing more on mental calculations, very important. And always try to have a very good concept clarity before jumping onto the shortcuts. Shortcuts are also very important, but yes, having a concept clarity plays an equal important role. And another shortcut that I discussed with you was backward approach. A lot of times CAT questions revolve around backward approach. So understand that every time you don't have to bring X into picture. Okay, we discourage that you bring in X into picture unless it's a pure algebra based question. Always try to use mental calculations. It will make you faster. It will make you more accurate also. Right, so you need practice for that. Definitely, we provide you enough practice in the form of practice questions, in the form of questions that we take up in the sessions. You will have enough practice of having that habit of using mental calculations and knowing all the shortcuts, so you don't have to bother about all that. That's our responsibility. All right. So yes, Preetham, we have a lot of material. So we provide you with a lot of reading material. So you don't have to bother about that. You don't have to go through any extra material for that. And any concept clarity book you can pick up, because all these concepts are something that you've already done in till class 10th or 11th maximum, right? So Madhvi, you will be shared with a schedule for sure about that. All right. You will definitely get an information about that. right? Otherwise, I have already said, you for any query that is coming to your mind, you can definitely call up at that number. Otherwise, yes, for further classes, the schedule will definitely be shared with you guys, right? So Preetham, material is going to be there in, so when you enroll with us, you will have a login ID in which all the material will always be there in the PDF form with you, right? All the mock tests, everything will be there. All the recorded lectures will also be there. So everything is there in your own login ID. All right. Right. Any further doubts? Anyone wants me to clarify anything? All right, then. All the very best to all of you. Take care, and do keep in mind whatever shortcut tips I shared with you guys today, and have confidence in yourself. That's very, very important. And at the same time, be wise enough to know your shortcomings also. Do not try to hide it from yourself, because the best competition that you can provide yourself is yourself only. Try to improvise in whatever stage you are in right now, by further contributing to your strength areas and improving on your weak areas. That's the best way to prepare. Okay. Compete with yourself. All the very best. Take care. Good night, all of you.